Hello, today we are going to see Agile anti-patterns or the common Agile or Scrum anti-patterns, which you can see in your day-to-day Agile project. Also, this is one of the frequently asked questions in the Scrum Master interview. What are the Agile anti-patterns you have observed in your team, and what is your plan of action for that? First, what is an Agile anti-pattern? So first, what is an anti-pattern? From the word, you are able to understand that anything which is going to be in complement to the any pattern followed or the standard way. That is known as an agile, that is known as an anti-pattern, right? So that same is applicable for here in Agile and Scrum. So in short, if you want to tell, those are the bad practices that may lead to undesired outcomes or some new problems. But what happens is the team will be following that, assuming that that is the correct way to do something, or they may be thinking that will improve the process, and they used to follow some pattern. Okay. So that is an anti-pattern, and there are a lot of anti-patterns being seen in an agile or a Scrum project. And I have just consolidated few of the commonly seen Scrum anti-patterns here, and there may be more also. First anti-pattern, whatever I have seen is the product owner. I'm speaking about the Scrum team particularly. Okay. So the product owner will assign the work or the stories to individual team members. See, I'm telling a matured Scrum team. That means whatever the Scrum team is supposed to be self-organizing and cross-functional. Okay. So self-organizing in the sense self-managing. So if the product owner is assigning the work or the stories to the individual team members, then it's an anti-pattern. So always remember the team should be assigning the stories or the work to themselves, and the product owner or the Scrum Master should not do this particular activity. If you are following that, it's an agile anti-pattern. Second, sprint board is not up to date. This is also one of the commonly encountered agile anti-pattern. That means team will not be updating the sprint board. That means if you're using Jira or ADO or any project management tool, the team is supposed to update what is the progress of the story. So in that case, if they're updating it correctly, then your board will be up to date. Else, that will lead to a reduction in transparency and trust. This is one of the commonly seen anti-pattern, and if you are doing so, that's not the right way. Even some people used to update before the daily Scrum call. Just for example, if you're having a daily Scrum call at evening 5 p.m., then at 4:55 they used to do, but actually that is not the right way. So as a coach, Scrum Master should make sure the team is understanding the importance of this particular activity. Third, absence of product owner during sprint execution. Yes. See, if your product owner is absent during your sprint execution, that may impact the goal. But there may be a follow-up question for this. You may be thinking that, okay, what happens? For example, a product owner should also have some time off, right? Whether he or she can be continuously available. Yes, correct. See, product owner should have a backup plan ready, and then if he or she is going for taking a time off or like due to some emergency, it is fine because the team should be anyway self-managing and cross-function, as I mentioned earlier. That is fine. But sometimes during the sprint execution, if the team wants to know or clarify any requirement, a product owner should be available, or at least a backup plan should be available. So this is also one case which you may be coming across. Using daily Scrum meeting as a status reporting meeting. Yes. People think like daily Scrum is a status report meeting. No. It is actually kind of a commitment you are giving. And a 24 hours plan you are giving in front of all your peers. Okay. So normally it should be a self-organizing, and the command and control behavior should be avoided here. That means it should not be like you're asking, Scrum Master is asking for an update and then they're providing updates. No, it is not. It should not be in that type of format. And skipping retro or other Scrum events. Yeah, this is one common Agile Anti. That means like few members will not attend retrospective or other Scrum events. They may feel it as a waste of time. But each event has a specific reason to be happening and also a purpose. So if the team is keep doing this, then the Scrum Master is supposed to take the next required steps on how to handle the situation. Next, Scrum events happening outside of sprint. Yes, this is also very commonly seen. What happens is in a Scrum team, consider you're following a 3-week sprint. After the 3 weeks of time, some teams will have a retrospective meeting. That means in the day 3 of the next sprint. No, retrospective meeting is supposed to happen within the sprint, not outside of the particular sprint. Because if you're having outside of the sprint, then you may not be able to have a continuous improvement in the next sprint, right? So always remember, all the Scrum events should be happening within this. Next, variable sprint duration. This happens in few teams. That means there will be a variable sprint duration. The sprint, always remember, a sprint is a time box event and we cannot change the duration of the sprint. So if you are doing so, you are following you're doing a wrong practice. That means following an Agile Anti. Next, all findings are reported as bugs in sprint review by stakeholders. That means not all the findings, whatever the stakeholder feels, should be reported as a bug. It can be as a future enhancement also, it should be taken. So this is coming to the stakeholder management part. I'm sharing this because some teams I have seen if the stakeholder is telling some enhancement, that will be considered as a bug. No, just check with the acceptance criteria of the story. And really, if that is not getting satisfied, then it can be reported as a bug. But other case, it should be always a new enhancement or a new story. Next important point is unclear requirements and scope creep. Scope creep is one of the major problem in many teams. So if the requirement is not clear and if there is some scope creep happening in the team, that can reduce the team's efficiency. So scope creep is one important point which we need to take it. Next point is scope stretching. Scope stretching is nothing but sometimes the development team will be focusing on the features which were not initially required. Some additional features there will be. The scope of a story will get stretched. That is also kind of a scope creep I used to tell. So this also should be avoided. Next, the sprint backlog being regularly changed mid-sprint. See, we can change the sprint backlog, but it may be due to the changing requirements of the stakeholders. But regularly, we should not change in between the sprint. It's not a good practice to do so. Then, PO cancel the sprint without consulting developers. Collective decision list. Yes, I have posted a separate video for the cancellation of a sprint, when and who can cancel a sprint. So PO can do that, but without consulting the developers or the team. And if a collective decision is not taken, then that is an Agile Anti pattern. Then PO does not cancel the sprint when needed. Yes. If really a sprint should be cancelled, and if the sprint goal is becoming obsolete, then PO should do that. Next, Scrum Master acts as a team lead. Yeah, this also happens in many teams. Scrum Master will be acting as a team lead in many instances. And the team also sees the Scrum Master as a team lead. That's also one of the Agile anti-pattern. Next, Scrum Master avoids conflict and does not like to be challenged. Yes, some Scrum Master used to avoid conflict and don't understand the importance of the conflict. So always remember this Scrum Master. I have posted a separate video for the conflict management, but as a Scrum Master, you should not avoid conflict. And then if the retrospective is not going to fulfill the continuous improvement objective, then that is also an Agile anti-pattern. Then Scrum events not being done or being done erratically. That means whatever format the Scrum events is, each Scrum event is supposed to happen, it should be happening. Or if the team is missing any Scrum events or skipping, then that is also one of the Agile anti-patterns. So I have covered almost all the commonly seen Agile anti-patterns. Hope this is useful. Thank you all.